She sits on the National Strategic Alliance Board with BNI. Other than BNI, she is a writer, a speaker, and an author coach. And now she will answer one question from the members. Who has a burning question? Has to know.
No.
Nothing?
So what originally made you get started with BNI?
With BNI? Oh, good question. You know, that is a great question. And like most people, I was invited to BNI by somebody I knew from Women in Film. We had both been in the film industry in the Seattle area, and she'd opened up a web development company. And I laughed, I got BNI, is what we call it. She called me and told me how great this was, and she wanted to know if I would come check it out with her. And it was in Seattle in the morning, and I live in Renton, so I was like, okay. So I got up really early. I was late because I didn't know so many people were on the road at that time. I was like, I didn't know where they were. And then I went and I thought it was an amazing thing. And she said, by the way, I can't be here next week. Will you be my sub? And of course I adored her and respected her. And I said, absolutely. And after 2 meetings, I was hooked. I just had to find a chapter that was a little closer so I didn't have to get up quite so early in the morning. So I joined the Renton chapter. That's how I got in.
Perfect.
And now they can't get rid of me.
Yay!
Mavis Lamb.
As always, it is a thrill to be here. I will say, send regrets from Beth. She would have loved to have been here with you today. You look at your agenda, and we thought it was going to be Beth. But she had tried to be in 2 chapters, other chapters today. So I'm not sure which one she ended up in. Trying to get some of our visits done with everything. And so it's just been a little hectic as we're gearing in and getting ready for leadership team training, which pretty much takes all of our bandwidth. So I will apologize in advance if you reach out to us in September and we're a little late in our return of getting back to you because there's a lot going on. We're training over 700 people this go around. But I want to talk to you today about follow-up. Anybody ever heard the phrase, the fortune is in the follow-up? Everybody heard that? So there are places we should follow up in BNI. What do we think? Where should we follow up in BNI?
Referrals.
Oh, that'd be great. Referrals. But guess what? There's actually 2 other areas that we need to make sure we're doing follow-up in. Okay? And so I'm going to give you a why, a when, and a who with follow-up. And the why is our visitors. We've got to be following up with visitors. And there's 3 different ways. Anybody have any ideas of why? And who's timing me, by the way? Thank you. All right. So give me a 2-minute just to make sure. So why do we follow up with visitors? What are some reasons?
So they feel welcome.
So they feel welcome. We want to ensure that they knew that we were glad they showed up. It's a great story about a gal that lived in Seattle. There was a chapter walking distance from where she lived. She visited that chapter. And then she was looking for a home, and so she ended up visiting a chapter in Renton. She lived in downtown Seattle. And it was the follow-up from the Renton chapter. She knew she wanted to join BNI, but she picked the chapter because of the follow-up. Nobody followed up with her in the other chapter. The Renton chapter, she got a phone call. She got an email from somebody else. She got a note. She was like, oh, they want me. I think, how many people, we like to go where we're wanted as opposed to where we're not sure if we're wanted, right? Yeah. So that's the one reason. What's the other reason we would follow up with a visitor? So we want to make sure they feel welcome, that we appreciate. See, a lot of times, like you have a great visitor orientation. Do you have any questions? No. Why? Because they're still processing. The people that take a little time to process. And so later on, they're going to go, yeah, I do have a question. Or you might want to make sure they understand the policy. Some people, when they're visitors, they're taking in. If you've never been to anything like this is a lot to take in. And they may have missed the point that, oh, you do meet every week? I missed that piece. Because there's just a lot going on, right? You want to make sure they understand we have an attendance policy. They might have questions on how does it work. So you want to make sure that you've been able to answer those questions. What else? What's another really great reason that you want to follow up with a visitor?
Keep BNI on their minds.
Keep BNI on their minds. That's a good one. So that they're like, because it's like they're all great, and then they have to run out the door, and then life happens. So you want to make sure they're thinking about it. What else, James?
Relationships.
Relationships. Great lead into what happens when you follow up and start to build a relationship. What you can do with that individual is share your BNI story. Because then it personalizes. They hear the numbers for the chapter, they see the referrals being passed. But when you have an opportunity to say, let me share with you what BNI's done for me and how it's benefited me, then they begin to really get it. So those are 3, and there's probably more, but those are 3 big reasons why we follow up with visitors. Okay? Now I want to move on to another area where we're going to follow up, and this is a piece that we often do okay, but we can do a little better. and that's in our one-to-ones. When do we first follow up with a one-to-one?
Never.
Right after we've scheduled it to make sure, hey, let's meet next week. Why don't we confirm that meeting? Don't we do that with our clients and our customers? Hey, I've got you down, I want to just make sure we're still good for 2 o'clock on Tuesday. So you want to follow up and send them something in advance. Have your gains profile filled out online, or your building business filled out in advance. Hey, here's my gains profile, so that you can kind of review it. If you don't understand something, or if you have some questions about it, let me know. Or here's my building business interview for me, because it gives me information on who are your best clients and why. What are your goals? How can I help you get there? Who do you want to meet? What 3 doors do you want to open? There's all kinds of great information. And if you can give me some of that in advance, then I can sit down with you and say, Robin, you mentioned that you wanted to, get into this neighborhood or this geographic area or meet this kind of, this apartment owner that wants to garden. Talk to me more about that so that I can help identify that person so that we can be better prepared. The better prepared we are, the better the one-to-one is going to go. Because remember, how we do one thing is what? How we do everything. Okay? The other one is, when you're going to do it, is immediately following that one-to-one. Here's the piece that we often miss in a one-to-one. You should walk away with a plan of action. Not just, hey, it was great, you're awesome. So that then we want to give a shout out next week about how awesome Kendrick is.
And we don't do shoutouts.
Right?
He is awesome.
He used to. He's been cured. He went to rehab for that. Shout outs.
12-week program.
It was a tough one.
It's 12
You got a 1-day back.
12-step program.
So we gotta realize that we need to follow and say, hey, Nicole, I just wanted to recap that I'm going to be contacting the ABC company or Bob Smith or whatever it is for you, and I wanted to follow because I wanted to bring you to that chamber meeting with me that's Thursday at 7 or whatever. Are we still on for that, right? Follow up with that plan of action. Most of us don't walk out of the door with a plan of action. All right. The other one is that introduction or the information for that referral. Were we going to introduce somebody via email, and have we done that? That's a great way to start a conversation. Hey, Susie, I'd like to introduce you to George, blah, 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 and we do it via email so we can follow up. Okay, so that's the why and the when of follow up, the who. That's our referrals. Notice that's the third thing. We should be, we've got to work our way down to the referrals, right? So, who do we follow up with?
Visitors.
In referrals that we've received, who do we follow up with? The person who is our referral. I will follow up on the referrals I receive in a timely manner. Right? Okay? Right? I will.
Is that what that means?
That's what that means. Make that initial contact. It doesn't matter if you don't get the meeting, whatever, just reach out. Hey, Rebecca told me to give you a call that you might be interested in my product. I just wanted to follow up with you. Okay? Then who else do we follow up with?
The person giving
The person who gave it. Because a lot of times they can help us save a referral that kind of went south. I haven't heard back from them. Oh, you know what? I found out they went out of town or they had a family emergency. Let me reconnect with them myself, and then I'll pave the way for you to follow up with them again. So we want to make sure. And you want to make sure that, hey, I made contact with that referral. Thank you very much, and we're going to be meeting next week. Right? So that builds your reputation. Okay? And then lastly, you follow up with the chapter, with the results on that thank you for closed business. All right? So with that follow-up, you're going to have a better experience all around the board, and you're going to meet your goals, and you're going to have a better BNI experience. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.